We are live. What is up, wrestling friends? This is Derek Lewandowski, and we are live on Facebook with AWW Radio with our Reaper wrestling friends here with us today as we continue our virtual best of all time tournament. So let me introduce our panel of guests today. First of all, no stranger to AWW Radio with a new haircut. Welcome, Ben Lewandowski. How you doing, Ben?
Good, doing good. It's good to see everybody today.
Also want to welcome three-time All-American from SFU, Lauren Mason on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. She's on the West Coast. Welcome, Lauren.
Hi, thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Also want to welcome from the Pacific time zone up in Washington, Emma, the champ.
Good to be here, everybody.
Good to see you again. And then we have a special guest today from Memphis, Tennessee. Coming in with us on Zoom, we welcome the official middle school wrestler of FRL. Is that right? Sam Herring. Welcome, Sam.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. Sam, tell us what you've been doing. I've been following your kind of virtual best of duels of all time. How's that been going?
So we've been doing a bunch of projects recently. The first one we started with under our HMA Fantasy arm, you could call it, was the best dual team, like best of the decade of each team. So we would make an all-star lineup for all the college teams and then duel those teams against each other and try to figure out who's the best one. Penn State ended up coming out on top of that one. Then the next project we did was a best to never win it bracket. And that was just going through the NCAA results and trying to figure out who's the best guy that never ended up winning NCAAs in their career. And then right now we're going through the best NCAA champion lineup of all time. So we're taking every lineup back to 2004, I believe, and trying to figure out who had the best lineup going through all the NCAA champions from that year.
Well, very cool. We're thankful that you're part of the wrestling media community. We know you're only 13. You're a competitor yourself. You're a wrestler, but you do a lot for the sport, and it's been fun to watch your budding career and enjoying all the content that you have. Can you give a shout out for your handles right now?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at samwise2006. And then I'm also on Facebook at Sam Herring. And then the HMA account is just HMA Wrestling wherever you are, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And our website is hmawrestling.com.
Great. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate all that. Emma, you want to reset us and kind of get our context set here as we move forward with the semis?
Yeah, so we just want to take a sec to say last week we took a little break in the tournament just to honor Blackout Tuesday and then just the Black Lives Matter movement going on. We wanted to make sure, even though what we have is obviously important to the wrestling world, we wanted to make sure that voices fighting for equality all over were being heard. So that's why we took the break last week. So super excited to kick things back off. We're in the semifinals now. So each weight we're down to the final four, and then we'll be down to the finals after this. So it's pretty exciting. So yeah, we just took that break and then we're back here. So I'm excited to dive into these brackets.
All right. So we are in the semis. The fan votes are in. So Emma, could you kind of reset for us how the voting is weighted?
Yeah, exactly. So each host will be getting a vote. Landmine goes over all. So one person will be using a landmine today who hasn't already. And then besides that, majority wins. So after, we kind of discuss the matchup, the host will vote per usual. And then if there's a tie, which 2, 4, 5, there might be a tie depending because the fan vote counts for one. The tie will go back to the fans.
All right. Well, we got 5 today plus the fan vote. So that's going to come into play for sure today.
Ooh. Who the fans want. Okay, we ready to dive into 50 kg?
Let's ride.
Oh. Okay, so first we have 2012, Clarissa Chun, Olympic bronze, 2008 world champ, versus 2016 Olympian Halia Galo. What do you guys think right off the bat?
Well, I'll go. I got to say, going into this, I assumed it was Clarissa. But then a little deeper dive, into some of the results. One of the things I noticed was Victoria Anthony seemed to have Clarissa Chun's number for a couple of years there. Chun beat her in 2011, but then Anthony beat her in 2016. Right around that time, beat her a couple times at least. And Haley Agello in her peak year beat Victoria Anthony in the best of 3 to make the Olympic team. So it wasn't as obvious once I looked at the results there. That said, we are talking about 2012 Clarissa Chun that won the Olympic bronze medal. For that reason, I'm giving my vote to Clarissa, even though I think this is a really tight matchup.
I think stylistically too, like if you look at Chun's style, she's dangerous from everywhere. Like yesterday on the Reaper account, we posted one of her foot sweeps that she used to make the Olympic team. She had foot sweeps, like a lot of arm throws with that judo background. So I think she could present some upper body problems for Haley that maybe you're not going to get when you wrestle Tosaka or other Japan girls.
Yeah, she's crafty. She's really crafty. Those, you posted the foot sweep, but she also had this thing where she took the front head and would do almost this step behind, and sometimes she'd get 2 and sometimes she'd get 4. Well, maybe the scoring was different that day, but man, she had a lot of game, a lot of attacks, a lot of crafty, tricky stuff. I'm sure that a lot of her opponents never wrestled anybody quite like her, but really, really special wrestler, Clarissa Chun.
I think it's a really interesting matchup. It's like one of our only Olympian matchups, which is really good. So obviously, I think if they were to figuratively wrestle, it would definitely be a close match. But I think I'm going to go with Clarissa Chun just because she's got an Olympic medal, and that's a pretty big deal. So.
Yeah, that's above average.
Yeah, that's not too shabby. I mean, not.
I'm going to follow suit with you guys. I think that Clarissa is a legend. I didn't really get to watch too much of her growing up. I'm obviously, I wasn't very old then. When she won her bronze medal, I was 6 years old. So that was a while back. But going back and watching old film of her and stuff like that, I've got a little bit of recency bias for Haley, but I still think that she's a legend. She's a legend, and I don't think you can vote against.
Yeah, I was just going to say I'm definitely I'm in the Chun camp here. I was Victoria Anthony was definitely the wrestler you're watching as she's wrestling through this. Of course, we voted Victoria out in the semis, losing to Lampy, which is of course a quarters excuse, which of course. But man, what some battles they all had. But I'm definitely gonna go with Chun as well.
Yeah, I think I gotta go Chun just because she's so dangerous from everywhere, and I think from a hypothetical matchup, I think Haley would have a pretty hard time just with the amount of options Chun has to score. When Sarah wrestled Haley back in 2018, Sarah has a really dynamic offense, and I think Chun has a similar set of like being able to score from a lot of positions. And that's not to mention the Olympic bronze, but Haley's run in 2016 was definitely incredible. But because of the bronze and then just the stylistic problems, I think it's Chun for me.
Chun it is.
Yep, the fans agreed with us too. Ben, there was no SFU wrestler in that matchup.
I didn't see one there, so yeah, just
sad day.
Ben, where's your SFU shirt? I see your shirt begins with an S there. Is that?
I'm wearing a Sporting Sunkissed Kids shirt today, so that covers a lot of wrestlers here. So
next time it's got to be an SFU shirt though.
Well, did you get one yet, Ben? Or I mean, are you going to stick?
No,
with
I only have my homemade shirts that I have from.
All right, we got to get you one. What size are you? I'll make this happen.
Large. I'll wear a large.
Oh wait, what?
Right.
I was going to say XXL, but you're just large. Okay. All right.
Okay. Our next matchup is, in my opinion, pretty spicy. It's 2013 World Bronze Alyssa Lampy versus 2004 Patricia Miranda.
Yeah, 2004 Olympic bronze. Patricia Miranda.
Yes.
This one's juicy. This one's not easy. And for that reason, I'm not going first.
I'll go first. I mean, I don't mind speaking into it. I definitely went back and forth here. Certainly have a lot more recency tape on watching Lampy wrestle. She was obviously a world bronze, not an Olympic bronze. But I find that world bronze tournament that she got third in was just she wrestled lights out. Her only loss in that tournament was to Tosaka, who won the tournament. I think she lost 8-0 in that tournament. But then she had to get back, I think, 3 matches, in order to wrestle back, in order to win that bronze. So her only loss being to the champ of that tournament. Listen, this is I'm speaking to why I'm picking Lampy, but I'm picking Lampy in this matchup. She was and still is an amazing wrestler, and so isn't Miranda, by the way. Yes.
I'm gonna follow suit. I think that in 2013, the competition that Lampy had to go through was so much tougher that maybe Miranda didn't get when women's wrestling wasn't as big of a sport as it was in 2013. Also, her credentials almost matched the had, and if you add in the competition that she had to face, she's got to take this match, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll go next. I just think it's hard because, you have that picture of Lampy, what she did at the Open, in the finals, and then just that whole tournament she had, over Amy and over Victoria. So like 2 pretty seasoned veterans on the women's scene. But not only in 2013 did Lampy win that bronze, she also had a monster international year. Like the Poland Open, she won that, and that's a really tough tournament. She also won the Ukraine Memorial, which is super tough. So not only did she have that world bronze with only the loss to Tosaka, but she had a monster year in general. And I think Patricia, she did have, wins. She beat Chun to make the Olympic team and obviously ran, the gauntlet to get the Olympic bronze. But I do think the competition, was a little tougher when Lampy was around. Like Chun was in some of her brackets for World Team Trials, although it wasn't her peak year. So I think it may be a little recency bias on my part because I was never around when Miranda was competing. But I think I got Lampy. I do want to point out, though, that Patricia Miranda was a law student at Stanford while she was wrestling. Like, that's insane.
That's wild. Holy.
I couldn't even imagine.
I think, okay, obviously both these women are legends. Like Lampy and Miranda, you say those names in the women's wrestling community, and they're a pretty big deal. So I do agree. I think this match would be pretty spicy. Originally, I was gonna say Miranda, but you guys are making good cases for Lampy. I mean, she did have a monster year in 2013, and like Sam was saying, she was still pretty new in the like 2004. That was the first time the women wrestled in the Olympics. I'm correct on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that was the first Olympics that women's wrestling was a part of. So I think, yeah, it was still pretty new. But I think I'm gonna stick with Miranda. I think I'm gonna stay with her just because of that Olympic bronze. That's a big deal to me.
Huge.
So I'm gonna say Miranda on that one.
I'm siding with SFU on this one. Yeah,
It's hard.
Watch Patricia Miranda wrestle. I mean, she was a hammer. Obviously, first Olympic medalist in U.S. history for women. And I know you referenced, Emma, the matches against Chun. I know it was earlier in Chun's career. She was a younger version of herself, 2003, 2004. But Miranda just smashed her. I mean, she just dominated Chun. 2003 by fall, 2004 by tech fall, or at least what we would consider today a tech fall. And I think the way it goes, I think they come in, they tie up, and Miranda hits a slide by. She had a crafty slide by, and she transitioned really well to a nasty, almost unstoppable gut wrench. So I think, using modern scoring, right? So I think she hits a slide by, transitions to gut, goes up 4-0. And I think, they get back on their feet. I don't think Lampy gets hit with that again. I think she sees it coming. But she doesn't want to get scored on again. So the period ends 4-0. Lampy, Miranda. I think Miranda gets a little defensive to start the second period. Lampy gets to her single and gets a takedown, gets two, doesn't turn her. Miranda shuts down and kind of staves off some leg attacks and even maybe a throw attempt by Lampy and wins the match 4-2.
I think something interesting too is some of these women, like, we never saw them wrestle in the 2-period format. Like, Miranda was only around, in the old rule set. So it'd be interesting to see kind of how the gas tank of each wrestler would hold up, because Lampy, like, has a really, really good gas tank. We saw in her match with Victoria this year, like, she was trailing 6-0 and then second period came back and got the fall. So I think it would be interesting, to see how Miranda's gas tank would hold up on a 2-period, 3-minute, like, kind of format.
Yep. So obviously I'm going Miranda.
Now, Derek, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So you say Miranda's gonna get a takedown and a turn right away in the first period?
Yeah.
And she doesn't score again the rest of the time?
No, because I think Lampy gets on offense and she spends most of her time trying to stop Lampy's shots.
Well, then how will she not get called for passivity?
Well, maybe she gets hit for that. Maybe it ends up 4-3. That's a good point. But just the same, Miranda comes out on top.
I think there's a good opportunity for both to win this one for sure.
But both of them, they were both, very aggressive wrestlers. They both looked to score. And I think it is possible that it could be the type of match where it's action. Under today's rules, though, you're probably right, Sam. There probably would be a passivity call, because even if there is action, Lauren and Emma, as well as I do, those referees are going to look to call somebody with a passivity call.
Yeah, they're always looking to have more action than there is. If no one's scoring, someone's going to get called.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and they'll even now, like, put wrestlers on the clock, like, say, it's 1-1. They don't let matches end 1-1 anymore. Like, they'll put someone on the clock, even if there's, like, almost, no time left. Like, I think this year, one of my matches versus Mal, I got put on the clock with, like, 45 seconds left in the match, so they'll put people on the clock for sure.
And by the way, it's even worse internationally.
It really is.
And
they'll call people, even, like, say Miranda was winning and Lampy was stalling more than she was. Because she's winning, the refs will automatically assume that she's the one stalling, and they'll call her right away.
Yeah, no
that
question.
bothers me a lot.
Sometimes they even, like, what bothers me about international wrestling is it's almost like the match doesn't even matter. If a referee decides I'm going to hit this person with a passivity, they'll just do it.
Yeah, it seems like sometimes, I mean, not to, like, bash on all the refs, but sometimes in matches where you're like, okay, that person is obviously, being passive, and they don't get put on passivity, and then you have matches where they're not necessarily being passive, they just both have great offense and both have really good defense. So
Right.
There's just not much happening because the wrestlers are of such a high caliber. And sometimes you're like, what the heck, man? But,
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting thing about this, Derek, since we couldn't convince you to come to the dark side and vote Lampy, that puts it as a 3-3 tie. And guess who the fan vote is with?
Miranda.
Miranda?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you guys won this one.
Woo!
Hey, virtual high five, Lauren.
She's not right.
So our 50 kg finals are pretty insane. And a match that's actually happened a lot of times. We got 2012 Clarissa Chun versus 2004 Patricia Miranda for the finals matchup.
And we'll give another Miranda medal to the winner of that.
Maybe Miranda will get a Miranda medal.
Yeah, that'd be really sweet.
So are we talking whole career or just this up to the specified year?
Just that year.
Just that year. Okay. That makes it a lot more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because there's some, like, I mean, women, there's some women who wrestled, like, pretty much a lot of quads. And so there's some results towards the end of their career that would, you know, like Jessica Rodier beat Chrissy Davis, you know, at the 2016 Olympic trials, but Chrissy had an insane career and is the most decorated women's wrestler of all time. So that's why we took a peak year, so that we could kind of define the parameters of when like we're taking that version of them. But 53, I think this first round matchup is super interesting. Just because Padilla, now Suarez, has such a great UFC career now and has a bright future in the sport there. But we got, for the first round matchup at 53, we got 2016 Helen Maroulis, obviously first women's Olympic champ. First 2010 world bronze Tatiana Padilla, now Suarez.
I'll go first. I think this one's pretty good matchup. I mean, Padilla's a good wrestler, and she had a great year in 2010. But like I've said before, Olympic medals have a lot of weight. At least with me, I'm like, that's a huge deal. And especially to beat Yoshida, you know, Helen, that was a crazy match, a super good strategic match that was really well wrestled, I think. And I think Helen, like a lot of other wrestlers, is really dangerous from a lot of positions. And I mean, SFU alum, gotta side with my homies. So I think mainly because of her accolades, but a little bit because of SFU, I'm gonna go for Maroulis.
I'll go next. Yeah, I'm with Lauren. I'm going with Helen. I watched the matchup when Padilla and Maroulis wrestled in, was it 2010? I think they wrestled, and the best of three, and Maroulis. Yeah, I mean, she took her one of those at least, and Padilla came through it. Is that correct? Am I correct on that? Does anybody know? But I mean, Padilla.
Right.
Yeah, that's accurate. I think Helen won the first one, and Padilla won the next two, but they were like super close.
Right, and were they periods or were they matches? Was it she won the first period, and then that's correct, right? She won weren't they like
It was the period format.
What's
Yeah,
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so I think 2010 Maroulis against Padilla, I think that's been answered. I think 2016 Maroulis, world champ, Olympic gold, best of the best, right there. I'm going with Helen.
Yeah, there's no question here for me. Helen is one of the best to ever do it, if not the best. Totally unheard of. Incredible. Are really good. She's super slick. I don't see her getting beat.
All right, Sam, I think we got most of that. You picked Helen. I think we're getting a little breakup there in the audio, but he was 100% Helen, he said, and I'm going with Sam. I'm going with Ben on this. 2016 Helen is almost next topic, right? I mean, she beat a legend. We've talked this point into the ground on AWW radio, and those of us in wrestling journalism. She beat Yoshida, right? Maybe the best there ever was, and ended her long streak of world championships, at least world championships that Yoshida attended or that competed in. So, yeah, I mean, no disrespect to Tatiana Padilla, who, as was pointed out, beat Helen when Helen was younger, but 2016 Helen, gold medalist, she's going to win this virtual tournament too, so she gets my vote.
So I would have liked to watch more Padilla film than I did, because mostly when I've seen her, she's been in the UFC, at least when I've been kind of around. But I think it's kind of interesting too that this is like pretty much a next topic, and Padilla's a world bronze. Like that doesn't often happen, that we're next topicing like a world bronze medalist.
Yeah.
I think an interesting note is Padilla we have her at 53 because that's the Olympic weight. She wrestled 121, and she cut like reportedly a lot of weight for that. So I think like she would definitely have a size advantage, but I think Helen could mitigate that, because if you watch Helen's like left to right motion, she can switch sides of the body like really easily. So she'll go like 2-on-1 on the right to like head pinch on the left, which if you watch her series with Kayla Miracle back in 2017, she went to that head pinch a lot. She has even some upper body stuff, and then her leg attacks are just next level. She can come from behind, in her match at the Olympics with, I think it was South Korea. She was down like 7-4 with a minute left and came behind. So even if she did fall into a hole because of Padilla's size. I'm confident that she could come back, although I'd have her winning by, if not a tech, pretty much close to a tech. So I got Helen.
Can I just throw this in there too? Sorry, Lauren. Just throw this in there too. That 2016, 2017 Helen, she was funky too. Like, I mean, she was already good, right? She already had incredible, she was doing the fundamentals even better than everybody else in the world. But then add some of her really crafty offensive game that you pointed out. I actually remember talking to Kayla right after that match, because that was right around the time Joy was being recruited, and we did a visit to Campbellsville right around the time that Helen was going to wrestle, or Kayla was going to wrestle Helen. So we talked to Kayla after the fact, and Kayla said, "I've never wrestled anybody like that," and I couldn't get a partner to do what she does. And she said, I needed a feel. There was no way around the fact that, Helen's offense was so unorthodox and unusual and powerful. She says it was almost unstoppable. And she just had to wrestle that match, get that feel before she could, maybe even think about beating a wrestler of that caliber. So, we're talking about somebody who may be one of the best ever that the United States has ever seen. Like, if we had a virtual pound for pound, you'd probably have Helen in that too, and she'd definitely be a candidate for the finals.
Yeah, I think even if you just look at her technical ability, like if you were to just look at, kind of the styles of every wrestler that's wrestled, I think stylistically she'd be one of the most problematic matches for anyone, and just super, super hard to scout. Like, she has an amazing dump. She can work off control ties. She has attacks from space. Like we saw that with the Ali Reagan match this year. She can attack from space. So I think it's pretty much the next topic, and our votes, was a shutout for Helen, and the fan vote was with her too. So although Padilla's pretty freaking incredible world bronze, it's Helen. Our next match, though, is pretty interesting because both of these two are in position sitting out to the finals of Olympic trials next year. We got 2018 World Silver Sarah Hildebrandt versus 2019 Jakara Winchester.
Well, we're all laughing. We're like, this one's tough. This is a good matchup.
Early on, Hildebrandt won a lot of matches, right, against Jakara. I mean, they've wrestled a lot over the years.
Yeah, Hildebrandt beat her in 2012, 2014, 2015. The first two matches were tight. The last match, there was a little bit more of a gap, 9-2 Hildebrandt in 2015. Yeah. But, always good matches. And we're talking 2019 Winchester, right, world champion, right? So that said, 2018, 19 Hildebrandt's pretty freaking good too. Go ahead, Sam.
Right. I think it's going to be hard to take in the college matches. If we're talking 2019 Jakara, 2018 Sarah, I think they both improved so much from those matches that it's going to be hard to take those into account.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk for a second. What would the match look like? How do you think the match would turn out, watching, where they came from and who they are right now as wrestlers? Or 2018 where Sarah was and 2019 where Jakara was? How do you think that match would turn out? I mean, like, literally break it down.
Well, I'll just add this before somebody else breaks that down. But, I wrote here, has this happened? And then can Sarah finish her single? Now, to Sam's point, I know that they were college matches, but the answer was a resounding yes in those college matches. Sarah was able to get to the legs and able to finish that single in almost every match. And, Sarah again has an incredible slide by, just did an article with Tony Rotundo, and I was asking, how do you set up your shots? And he actually cited Sarah Hildebrandt's slide by. He said, I go to her matches hoping that she's going to hit it because it's so beautiful, and it's so good to photograph that. And he actually had some nice shots of that. So that said, they know each other too. So, some of these crafty moves, you feel like you feel like the athlete can scout away from that if the more they've wrestled each other. So, it's going to come down to, stamina and being able to finish just fundamental good leg shots. So that said, I didn't lay out the match like you asked, but I think those are some factors that play into it.
I think Jakar is super hard to score on. So like if you look at a lot of her matches, a lot of times like they may not be super high scoring matches, but Jakar's defense is so dynamic and she's really good from an overhook. So people that try to go get control ties with her or even try and throw her upper body. There's this video of Mongolia trying to throw her at Worlds this year, and she was able to step out and get like a rethrow from it. So I think she's super hard to score on, which would present some problems. And I think Derek's right in that like it depends on if Sarah can get to a leg and finish. I think Sarah's slide by is really dynamic, and I think a big part of Sarah's offense that's underrated is her transition to parterre. We saw it this year against Jess McDonald at the Pan Am like Olympic qualifiers, and then in that year, that was her peak year, 2018, in the World Semis against AWW-Wreaper, who went on to get bronze. She got a couple turns there and was able to get the tech from like a takedown turn transition. So I kind of have the match going that it's low scoring. I think Sarah gets to her slide by and doesn't score. I have her converting on a single straight to a turn. And then second period, I think Jakar gets a takedown. And I think Sarah gets put on the clock, but it's not enough. So I have Sarah winning.
Can I ask a question? Just top of my head, can we go back a year? Jakara was at 57, which was a non-Olympic weight when she won her world title, right?
55.
55.
55, right. And that was a non-Olympic weight. And then did Sarah come up from 50 to 53? Or was she at
53? And she went down for this quad. She went to 50.
Okay, that's what I was trying to remember. Okay.
Usually
she actually started the quad at 55 in 2017 and then got injured in the best of three with Becca. And then dropped when she came back from that.
It's funny because for some reason in my head, I pictured them both as being really tall. And I was like, oh, they're both like pretty tall. I just looked it up. Sarah is 5'3" and Jakara is 5'4". So they're both not extremely tall, but I guess for 53, that's fairly tall. I mean, most 53s are probably my height or a little shorter, like 5'1", 5'-ish. So I think that would be an interesting matchup to wrestle someone like pretty similar height when you're on the taller end. But I do agree. I agree with Emma about it'd be a pretty close match, low scoring. But I think if Sarah gets the takedown, she'll get a turn. I think she's pretty dominant on top. So I think I'm going to go with Sarah on this matchup.
Well, I'm just, I won't make much of an argument except she's a world champ. I'm going to go with Jakara.
Who we got left to vote?
I haven't voted. I don't think Sam has either.
I'm going to go the same. I think Jakara. I think Jakara. Maybe a little bit of recency bias. But I mean, there's a big jump it had to go through this year. It was absolutely insane. And she made it to the top when nobody expected it. I'm going to take Jakara.
Okay. You have all almost convinced me to switch my vote. But at the end of the day, I think 2018 World Silver, Sarah Hildebrand can beat 2019 Jakara, who won a world title at a
I was close to getting it.
It's a world title. I mean, there's no shade there. But I do think that Sarah can win a close match, and so I'm throwing my vote at Sarah.
So again, kind of like with Lampy and Miranda, we do have a tie. 3 votes for Sarah, 3 votes for Jakara, but Jakara has the fan vote. So she'll advance to the finals where she'll face Helen.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like 2019 Jakara versus Helen, because they wrestled in 2017. at 58 kg, but I think the result would be very, very different down at 53. And then, you know, with Jakara's kind of evolution.
Hey, Sam, who's in that picture with you that keeps popping up? It's you and you got your arm. Is that your brother?
Yeah, that's my little brother.
Okay, cool. What's his name?
His name's Eli.
Does he wrestle too?
He does. Yep.
Nice. Have you guys been wrestling each other during the quarantine?
A lot. Probably too much.
Okay, this is a total side note.
Eli, then.
But Sam, I saw that tweet about I think it was about a gallon of milk, and you're like, what? A gallon of milk lasts more than 4 hours in someone's house? So do you have a lot of siblings? Is that
I have 6 siblings.
Oh,
Whoa.
dang.
So yes. Yes, that's where that tweet came from.
Okay, I was wondering. So that concludes 53. So now we're on to 57 kg. And our first matchup is 2017 World Silver, Allie Reagan. First 2004 Olympian, Taylor O'Donnell. And she got 6th at 121 pounds in 2004.
This one's easy for me. I'm going with Allie Reagan. And the reason is I've made this point before, but I think Taylor O'Donnell is brutal on the mat, you know, in parterre, and I think the scoring system back in 2014 actually lent itself more to getting in that position that benefited Taylor O'Donnell. But I think when O'Donnell would go against elites, you know, on her feet, I mean, she's good like anybody, but she would, you know, her neutral position would be pedestrian against, you know, top competitors. And Allie Reagan is certainly excellent on her feet. And for that reason, I'm going Allie. I think it would be hard for Tella to get to her best position.
I'm going to follow suit. I think I have a lot of recency bias. I've watched countless Allie Reagan matches. And I'm really, really familiar with her. I've interviewed her before. And
Sam, we're having a hard time. You're cutting out a little bit, but we heard that you went Allie Reagan. Thumbs up.
everything that Derek said, I'm going to echo. Neutral offense, obviously, are really, really notable.
All right, good. I see it. Thanks, Sam.
I'm going to go with Allie. I mean, with also recency bias. I've wrestled Allie before. She's really hard to move out of position. And I think if you can stay in good position and move up people, I think that's a really good thing. And 2017 Allie was a killer. So Tay O'Donnell was an Olympian. And obviously that is not an easy feat to accomplish, but I'm going to have to go with Allie Reagan.
So I have Allie too. I think one, you have to look at level of competition because 2004, through no fault of her own, Taylor, won the spot. But the competition in 2004 wasn't the same as we had in 2017. In 2017, Allie was at 60 kg, which wasn't a particularly deep weight class in the U.S., but it was still a gauntlet at the World Championships. So I think that's notable. And I think Reagan's offense too, she's just dangerous from a lot of places. She has a really good head and arm. That's what she used in the semis that year to get into the world finals. She has really good low singles. That's kind of her most notorious leg attack. And I think she just has a pretty dynamic offense. I think in the one area she's kind of struggled has been upper body. If she gets upper body with someone, but Taylor, like you said, Derek, wasn't a big prolific scorer on her feet. She was more, in parterre. So I have Allie.
Yeah, I have Allie as well. And I was, I echo a lot of what Emma just shared. I think the 2004, again, competition was different, but I'm as a fan of the sport, I wish I was a fan back then to follow what we were doing in 2004, simply because what a great year that must have been to really, rally around the U.S. team. Some really fun stuff. But I'm going with Allie Reagan 2017.
Hey, does anybody know? I was trying to remember. Did Allie Reagan ever have her own shoe?
I don't think so.
No. Okay.
I think she's with Nike. And
She
I don't
is with
remember.
Nike, but she didn't have a shoe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So does anyone still have to vote?
Sam voted Allie, and Ben
Okay,
voted Allie. Ben, do you have a shoe yet?
Yeah, I do. It's homemade. It's beautiful.
Can I get one of those? Where can I order one?
Well, just when you send the shirt, the SFU shirt, just send a check for $400, and we'll see what you get.
Okay,
Yeah, then bring it to Fargo
but
next
it
year.
be like superhuman speed or something like that.
It's
$400.
it's a dynamic shoe. It's
Yeah,
dynamic.
really, they're not actually that good, but it's just the man hours he put in. That's where the cost comes from.
It's made of wood. And, I don't know if it's legal. Actually, we'll have to see that. But
Yeah, and then you got to bring it to Fargo next year and sell it as a rare shoe.
You could put it out on the Fargo market.
Yeah, exactly.
we'll see what goes on here. Sounds
All
good.
right.
So we got Allie Reagan with the sweep of that. So she'll advance to the finals at 57. And then our next match, I think, is a pretty good one. 2005 World Bronze Sally Roberts versus 2008 Marcy Van Dusen. She was an Olympian and got 9th at 55 kilos.
All right, so I'll start here. If beating Yoshida is what qualifies people in our tournament, then Van Dusen should move on over Sally.
Yeah, if beating Yoshida means something.
I mean, she ended Yoshida's streak at that point was, I think, 119 straight victories when she beat her in that tournament. So
what tournament was it?
I think it was a female. It was the female world championship or something it was called. It was a different name. She beat her. It was, again, old scoring system, and did a chest wrap on her to kind of
It must not have been the FILA World Championships, because I think Yoshida won that every time she went. I think until
you got to look it up. I think the match I watched was in Japanese. I think so. It was
okay.
I think she had 119 straight wins, and Van Dusen beat her.
Wow.
You can confirm that, but yeah, she had quite a year in 2008. Quite a year. So, I mean, she beat Sally Roberts that year too. I think that was the year she beat Sally.
Yeah, she did. She beat her in a best of 3
with a great ankle pick. Just
oh my goodness.
Circle to the right, back to the left ankle, whatever, or
They were killing each other though, those two. I mean, it was really close.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, Van Dusen came out on top of that, best of 3. I think Roberts won one of those 3 matches.
Yep.
So I got Marcy just because of the win over Yoshida, and when we talked about Taylor and why we picked Ali over her, we said kind of the depth of competition, domestically and internationally at that time. And I think in 2008, Marcy, she had to beat Roberts, she had to beat a monster of a bracket at Olympic trials, and then at the Olympics too. That weight, like the competition was really good. I believe Yoshida won, or not Yoshida. Yeah, it was her. She won 55 that year. I'm pretty sure. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But so that alone, I think just the level of competition and Marcy's kind of offense, that ankle pick, just pretty dangerous from a lot of places. So I'm going to go Marcy.
I'm going to echo everything you said, Emma. I think that Marcy's stats and accolades just add up too much to go against Sally. But I'm gonna plug something. We just partnered with Sally and her organization, Wrestle Like a Girl. HMA and Wrestle Like a Girl just partnered to launch a podcast. I'm really excited for that.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for promoting women's wrestling, Sam. That's really great that you're doing that.
Absolutely. I'm really excited. We're going to try to interview women's wrestlers and coaches that can have a big influence on it, like the Steiner brothers and Brands brothers, guys like that who can really have an effect on women's wrestling.
That's awesome.
That's great news. Yeah, I'm going Marcy as well. She beat one of my heroes in 2005, Tina George, one of my new heroes. And frankly, I mean, of course, I could have missed some stuff, but it looks like Marcy won everything in the U.S. from 2005 to 2008. So, I mean, she was like, when she was peaking, she was absolutely dominant, especially nationally. So, if you add to that the fact that she did beat Sally Roberts in that best of 3 in 2008, her peak year, I got to go with Marcy Van Dusen. But I love you, Sally. I love you.
I'm gonna echo everything that's been said. I'm gonna go with Marcy. Like you were saying, Derek, she's been really dominant through those 3 years and other years, all throughout the U.S. and internationally as well. I mean, she beat Yoshida, so it's a pretty big deal. So I'm gonna go Marcy, and then just a little cherry on top. She's a California girl, so I gotta keep up with that.
All right, how we doing? All votes in?
Emma, I think you're muted.
Okay, so does that everyone? Did everyone vote there?
We're all
I think I
voting.
Okay, so Marcy wins that one. The fans were also with Marcy. So we're looking at Allie Reagan, Marcy Van Dusen final. So that'll be a good one for next week. I'm excited for that one. And that wraps up 57. And for 62, I think this match is really intriguing, both of them, but the first one especially. We have 2004 Olympic silver, Sarah McMahon, and she only lost by 1 point to Icho, who's, in case fans don't know, the only, I believe, 4-time Olympic champion of any wrestler. So only lost to Icho. I think it was like 3-2. And Icho had to get a late takedown to win it. First 2019, Kayla Miracle obviously had a great year, wins over Mal Velti to make the world team, and had a great world championships, although falling just short of a medal. So what do you guys think?
Sarah McMahon is awesome. Kayla Miracle's awesome. I mean, I love Kayla as a person. I love watching her wrestle. Kayla, last year, 2 years ago, started calling herself Kayla 2.0, going to the Hawkeye Wrestling Club. She definitely upped her game. I think her finishes on her single went to another level with the training that she was getting and the partners that she had at Hawkeye Wrestling Club. U23 silver, 2019 4-time WCWA champ. But I think Sarah McMahon was really a special wrestler. She had a win over Randy Miller as well, an Olympic bronze medalist in 2007. So, yeah, that said, if you're talking about an Olympic silver medal, it's hard to argue with. And she is our number 1 seed. So I don't see any reason to, in Kayla's career to put her over somebody like Sarah. So as much as I love Kayla, I got to give my vote to Sarah McMahon.
Yeah, I'm gonna go that same way. I think Kayla, when she can finish her single, she's really dangerous, and she's gotten world-class people with that single. But the matches she has lost internationally and domestically, if people can stop that single, she has other great offense, but that's normally been the key to victory for other wrestlers going against her. And I think scoring that single on Sarah McMahon would be really difficult, especially since Icho had to work like tooth and nail to get that takedown at the end of their Olympic final. And I think, just by going, on Olympic results, you got to give it to the Olympic silver.
This match reminds me a lot of the Haley Agello Clarissa Chun match, where there's one person that has better competition. I think that Kayla has better competition, more advanced training, more advanced techniques and stuff. But man, McMahon's a legend. The way that she changed the sport in 2004 was one of USA's first, along with Clarissa, one of USA's first successful women's wrestlers. I got to go with Sarah.
I think I'm going to echo that. I think Kayla is very solid. She's just a good, solid wrestler. She has good takedowns, good top, everything. I also will say, I don't think Kayla has peaked. Kayla has improved a lot in the last even 3 years.
Yeah, that's true.
She's still going. I don't think Kayla has peaked yet. I think Kayla has maybe 3 or 4 more years until they're going to be building up to be great. I think she has a lot more room to
And
grow.
she just followed Mark Perry to Arizona. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So I mean, Sarah McMahon, 2004 Athens, I mean, she had a silver medal. It's a pretty big deal. Also, though, competition wasn't as heavy as it is now, but I think I'm going to have to go with Sarah. But I think it's close. I think it would have been a close match.
Well, I got to say, if Kayla could hit that funky arm wrap that she hit to get through that comeback win in that semi at U23, if I have the right match, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
you do.
On a single, and she hit the arm wrap, and I don't know if she pinned her, but she did.
Pinned
her, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that
She was trailing like 8-0.
Who knows?
Yeah, I'm the last one to vote. My vote is just simply that somewhere in Sarah McMahon's house right now, hanging on the wall, is a silver medal of the Olympics. Boy, that's every child's dream. And like Emma said, it was close even in that. So yeah, I'm going with Sarah.
All right, so Sarah advances, although I do think there's some recency bias going on with the fan vote. Kayla, I think, won by a decent margin over McMahon when I thought that fan vote was going to be like razor thin. So that was interesting. Next up, we have 2012 World Silver and Olympian Elena Korskova versus 2008 Olympic bronze Randy Miller. What do you guys think?
Ooh, one of the best matchups, maybe.
Absolutely.
I think Elena's foot sweep was really incredible. She got a lot of people with that. In 2016, she was super close to medaling at the Olympics, had, I believe, a 1-point loss in the semis, and then just fell short at the Olympics and then got that world silver. So I think, like, even though Randy does have that bronze, I mean, they both have Olympic and world results. And I think Randy's style is really explosive, but I think Elena could mitigate that with her movement, her foot sweep. She had really good control ties. So I think if she could control Randy with her 2-on-1, that she could have some success there.
Was that some matches I was watching with Elena and her where she was just doing a lot of slide bys on Randy pushing in, and just felt like she hit some slide bys of Randy's aggressiveness, though I'm not, I'm definitely on the fence on this one. I was watching plenty of matches. I think those were later matches I was watching, but yeah, man, bronze medalist. I feel like that stuff just counts for so much.
All right, well, I'm going to make this one easy. I'm going to use my landmine. Pick Randy Miller.
Boom!
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
I mean, that Olympic bronze, I mean, and she was just a solid wrestler, so Miller wins.
Yeah, and maybe good to point out they did hit in 2014 and 15, and it was like super close. Piraskova won in 2014 2-1. I'm sorry, lost to Randy Miller in 2001. Lost 2-1 in 2014, and then Piraskova won 2-2 criteria in 2015. And also, I think good to point out, as we're talking, we're trying to educate people on history. Elena Piraskova is tied with Christy Davis for making 10 world teams, which is the most any woman has ever made. She medaled 4 times on 10 world teams.
So
Bruce
also,
Baumgartner level.
Yeah. A quick note on Poroskova's silver at the World Championships that year. Jess told me this story because I've been injured a lot and I had surgery, another one, and she was telling me the story about how Elena that year got super concussed before the World Championships, like couldn't even leave her room, was in the dark, still had to make weight and competed at Worlds. And that was the year she won world silver, when she had been out for weeks before the World Championships and like couldn't even leave her room. So I thought that was pretty incredible. But the landmine above all. So our 62 matchup for the finals is Randy Miller versus Sarah McMahon.
Nice.
So that's pretty good.
Great matchup.
So next we got 68 kilos, and we got 2019 world champion, 2018 world bronze Tamara Mensah versus 2018 US Open champion Julia Salata. And I think it's an interesting one because I think people look at this and they say, like, next topic. But 2016, after Olympic trials, Julia actually beat Mensah in the Canada Cup, I believe in the semifinals. And she has, I think, one more win. She talked about it on our previous podcast. she has 2 wins over Mensah. So although I'm going to take Mensah because I think, Mensah's made 3 world teams and has 2 world medals. And I think that merits over a head-to-head win that's not in a peak year. I don't think it's a next topic. I think it's a good match, and I think people wouldn't realize that just right off the bat.
Yeah,
I'm gonna jump on the Mensa train, and the way she looked this last year completely destroyed everybody pretty much. 2019, that I think she's had some slip ups in 2020. Where was it that she took that loss with the gut wrenches this year?
That was Italy, I believe.
That was Italy, yeah, the Matteo Pellicone, I think. That one really stunk, but last year she was on a roll. She just destroyed everybody that she wrestled, and nobody was close to touching her. I don't think this one's gonna be close.
I think it's definitely one of those matches that you have to look a little deeper in because, yeah, at face value, I agree, Emma. It looks like a next topic, but I mean, Julia Salata has surprised a lot of people. Like, she's pretty good, and she is a very what's it called? Good wrestler. I can't think of the words. She's a very good wrestler, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Tamara Mensah-Stock because she's just been dominant. I mean, 2019, she won the world championship. She was just on a roll that year. So I think with that year, I'm gonna go with Mensah-Stock.
Wasn't her win over Dosho like 8-0? It was like
Okay.
something, or 8-2. It wasn't even close.
I don't think Dosho scored.
Yeah, I thought it was 8-0. I could be mistaken.
I think you're right. I think it was 8-0.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and that was, remember the buildup of that? Like, oh, here we go. Mensah, Dosho. And it was like, oh, really? I mean, that version, that year, Tamara Mensah-Stock, I mean, maybe one of the best ever to step up at that weight.
Franson, the girl she beat in the finals, I don't think a lot of people realize, but she was a 72-kilo world champ. So she had to run through an Olympic champion in Dosho in the quarters and then a world champion in the finals. So that bracket was insanely deep. And just from a side note, because I wrestled Mensah a lot, she's a little unorthodox in that she wrestles from her knees a lot. And she's super powerful. Like, she can attack a double from her knees and score if she has 2 fingers locked around your legs. And there's not a lot of people I feel like, man, this person could just absolutely run through me. But like Mensah is one of those people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ben.
I was just going to say I'm going for Mensah-Stock because she's amazing. As you guys said, 2019 was extraordinary, and I just feel like it's a good opportunity to vote against Julie.
You're just salty because we said you'd lose.
He lost the virtual match, right? To Julia in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Did we say how many seconds we'd give him before he got submitted, or was that
20? I think 20 seconds you guys voted or something. But anyway.
Yeah,
that was the over/under.
Victoria, I think. Yeah.
Being inside tripped.
No, I think it was a minute, maybe. But Ben, you'd be submitted in seconds.
But she said she'd do a flying armbar on me, and I said I would tap while she's in the air.
That's our champion, folks.
Yeah, Julia's great. She's had a great career. I mean, not many people can say they have 2 wins over Mensah, but I got to pick Tamara as well.
Ben, I think the key to that jiu-jitsu match is you just got to bring out the shoes, the wooden duct tape.
The wooden shoes.
People will be so distracted by the shoes, they won't even notice that you tapped out mid-air.
That's a great point.
And if you wear an SFU singlet, they'll be super intimidated.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Hey, no, we don't want to tarnish the SFU name.
Whoa. Hold up, Lauren. That wasn't too nice.
Okay, so I think we all got Mensah, so she sweeps this. The fans also had Mensah, I think by a pretty wide margin. It was like 85 to 15%. So Mensah advances to the finals there. I think any opponent she has from our next round matchup is going to have a tough time. But our next one is someone who could potentially see Mensah at next year's Olympic trials. We have 2019 world 5th, Forrest Molinari, 2-time world team member, commonly known as Snowflake, and famous by that one video they got after her match with Maya, which was pretty awesome. So she's up against 2004 Takara Montgomery, Olympian. Coaches, I believe, did coach or still coaches at Lindenwood. Really great wrestler. What do you guys think?
Yeah, my dive again took me into watching more Takara matches against Christy back in the day and winning some of those bouts. Christy Morano, Christy Davis, and oh man, I mean she's an Olympian. I know that we're talking a time when it was perhaps more watered down. Forrest is an unbelievably good wrestler, and I agree too with Forrest. Watching her tape, she is not only entering her. I mean, she's entering her peak years. I mean, she is like been on a trajectory of awesomeness. But I think I don't even know if that's a word. Yeah, I'm definitely going with Takara on this one.
Now.
What's that? It is now.
Can we vote? Can we vote on whether that's a word? Awesomeness. Thumbs up. Thumbs down. Okay.
Go for it. Yeah.
We have decreed here in AWW Radio that is official.
I said the word is it's a word now.
Yeah, that's a word now. Good. But I'm going with Takara. That's my pick.
I think I might have to agree. I mean, I agree. Forrest is a killer. I mean, she's had some great matches with some people, but I do think she is still peaking. And I think, I mean, making an Olympic team, although granted it was in 2004, and we're talking about 2019 Forrest, I think I'm going to have to go with Takara, though. I will say that.
I think, too, if we're doing oh, go ahead, Sam.
No, you go ahead.
I think if we're doing, you know how we said win over Yoshida kind of like makes you, like that's a credential. I think also a win over Christy Davis is a credential, So I think Takara having that win over Christy, like the most decorated women's wrestler, is kind of what puts it over the edge. I think Forrest could pose some problems with her low leg attacks and just some of her offense from space. But in general, I think Takara was really powerful and could kind of overpower her way through that match.
So at Final X this year, where Forrest had her famous quote, I was actually there interviewing her, like right in front of her and recording the interview. And it was really funny. Flo's left this part out, but as soon as she said the LFG thing, she looked down at me and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It was hilarious. So afterwards, she was on a mission. I was really scared because I was in between, like I was around the warm-up area and where they would go to cool down after the matches. And when she lost, after the match, she like ran down like she was about to run through a wall and murder somebody. I was so scared. And she just ran through it and got in the warm-up area. And then when she came to the interview in the second match, she was so fired up. Thought she was gonna burst a blood vessel or something. It was crazy. But anyway, I'm gonna get to the point. I'm gonna be the unique pick here. I'm gonna take Forrest. I think you guys watch her match with Victoria Francis this year.
Yeah.
She's on another level right now. That was absolutely insane. I'm gonna count that as 2019, her peak. She's on another level. I think she's getting closer and closer to her peak, and the competition that she's facing right now is absolutely insane. Having to go through Victoria Francis and Mensa Stock to get on an Olympic team is probably gonna be one of the deepest brackets there's been, and she's doing extremely well. I'm gonna take Forrest in this match.
Wow, you guys have actually all this conversation has changed my original vote. I'm going with Forrest as well. I do want to point out that Takara actually retired at 21. So everything she did, before she was 21 and when she was 21. So that's pretty great. But I got to say, I mean, let's point out that Forrest Molinari was razor thin close to medaling at Worlds 2 years in a row. Yeah. And it was heartbreaking fashion twice that she didn't. She was ahead, 2 years ago. I think it was in the quarter. I can't remember exactly where it was, quarters, but I think this last year it was actually in the bronze match. I think maybe 2 years ago it was in the semis. I don't know. I think, but last year it was in the bronze match. Remember, she was ahead and got scored on right at the end. It was heartbreaking. And you know, we did an article on her and interviewed her after, and it was a tough loss. But I mean, how close she was to medaling both years. I mean, she's right there. And to Sam's point, the competition level is so high. I think it's easily comparable to what Takara did back in 2004. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm going to throw my vote at Forrest.
Anyone else?
So you know what's interesting about that? That makes it a 3-3 tie, and Snowflake's fans are loyal. So she's gonna get the upset win and advance.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
wild.
Sam, give me a virtual high five.
Well,
So we're gonna have a matchup in the finals that we could potentially see. We probably will see next Olympic trials with
Yes.
Mensa and Molinari.
That's gonna be fun.
Foreshadowing, maybe.
Wow.
I know. A side note, Forrest, when we were overseas one time in Austria, it was Michaela Beck's birthday, and Forrest made, like, she's Italian, and she made like some homemade pasta sauce. And it was funny because we'd be in practice and she'd be like, oh, I have to go stir the sauce. And then she made this like really good like Italian dish, and it was really good. Super side note, but
Can I give one quick side note too?
Yeah.
Sam talks about being scared at seeing Forrest mad. I actually got her mad at me one time, really mad. I posted, we have a section on our website called Not So News, and it's just satire. And I did a fake story on how she was mad from, I can't remember, for like 3 months straight. She was mad. And I thought it was funny. You know, I had people preview it and they're like, yeah, this is funny. So I posted it, but it was when she was at Worlds, and I went to sleep, and I got up and I had private messages from Forrest and from Taylor Miller, USA Wrestling. And Taylor's like, Derek, I know this is just satire, but it kind of ruffled Forrest. So could you take it down? I'm like, yeah. So I said to Forrest, Forrest, this is a joke. It's satire. Because she's like, you never interviewed me and I never said those things. I'm like, it's satire. It's a joke. So she backed off and she's like, oh, okay. I understand now. I see that it's just it's humor, but I still took it down.
You took it down, right? Yeah.
Still down.
yeah,
Also-
probably not the best idea to get Forrest.
Yeah,
mad at
watch
you.
that Worlds
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You weren't really thinking.
Listen, anytime you write a satirical article, you're rolling the dice, right?
Very true.
So live and learn. Hey, but we did an article on her after that, and I think all is well between AWW and Forrest Molinari.
I also, another side note, Forrest and I are actually from the same area. We were in the same section in high school. So I knew Forrest before she was mad. I don't want you know that. She wasn't mad, I don't think. I think she's just very serious.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wraps up 68, and we're on our last weight class for semis. This first matchup I think is interesting because I think it's one of those you'd look at it initially and be like, you know, next topic. But 2019 Adeline Gray, world champion, versus 2011 world bronze Ali Bernard, and of course Ali went on to make finals of Olympic trials in 2012, where Stephanie Lee won, but then popped hot on a drug test, and Bernard got the spot. And what's interesting about this is that was at 72 kilos, and Adeline was also in that bracket. And I don't know if she had a direct head-to-head loss with Bernard, but she did not make the finals, and Ali and Stephanie did. And she was actually Ali's warm-up partner for that year in the Olympics. She told me about that. So, I mean, I'm going to go with Adeline because obviously 5-time world champion and one of the best to ever do it. I think she would get a takedown probably off her snatch single and convert it to a lace. I don't think she would get the tech, but I think she would rack up enough points to have a good lead and to be able to make it so Bernard couldn't come back. But it's not a next topic. I think it would be a good match.
This one's awesome. I mean, a world bronze is incredible stat, incredible accolade. But matching up against 5-time world champ Adeline, she has the most world titles out of any American, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an impressive accolade right there.
Yeah, hard to argue with that.
Yeah, I think would she have been tied with Jordan Burroughs had he won this year?
I believe.
Has Jordan won 3 or 4?
I think
He's
Jordan's
won
won 4.
5. Wait, I
He's
thought he won
four in
5 and then
Olympics.
Olympics
Right.
included in that. So
Okay.
he's won 4.
Otherwise, John Smith has the most, if you count
Right.
Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to go Adeline. I'm gonna have to go Adeline as well. It's just she's too good on her feet. Has way too many attacks and way too many accolades to pick against her. And I'm not gonna be here for the finals, but she better win the finals too.
I was just going to say, if we were talking about Helen earlier doing the pound for pound, and obviously Adeline's, if not at the top of that discussion, top 2, of pound for pound best wrestler ever to come out of the U.S. obviously. And yeah, I'm definitely going with Adeline here. Maybe it's next topic for me more than Emma, but I'm definitely going with Adeline here.
I'm going to echo what Ben said. Pretty much everything. I'm going with Adeline.
Yeah, to confirm, Jordan Burroughs has 5 world titles, and that includes the Olympic gold. Yeah, I think Adeline Gray is going to go down as maybe the best female wrestler in the history of women's wrestling in the United States, if not one of the best American wrestlers ever as well. She's already in that conversation, right? So, as good as Allie Bernard was, 2-time Olympian, world bronze, Adeline Gray is my vote.
Yep. So that carries it. So we got Adeline advancing to the finals, where Sam already said she better win. So it'll be interesting to see, because this next matchup, this might be my favorite one of the whole thing, because we have 2005 Iris Smith, world champion, one of the first WCAP kind of wrestlers, versus 2007 Christy Davis, who got world silver that year. But again, I think she made 10 world teams and then had the most world medals, even more than Adeline. So it's a good matchup.
I'm pretty sure Christy pinned Iris in 2007. Is that correct?
I did not see that result myself.
Let me look up that result before I say that that's fact. But I thought in the second period she pinned her. It was 0-0 and she pinned her in the second. I didn't see it. I read about it.
Okay.
But I'll look it up.
Yeah, Christy Davis, Christy Stenglein, Christy Morano, whatever name you want to call her. She's my vote. She's a New York gal. Came up, through our wrestling program out here in New York, and one of the most decorated wrestlers of all time, not just female wrestlers, but wrestlers in America. She has 2 gold, 5 silver, 2 bronze, 5-time wrestler of the year. She wins this match for sure.
Yeah, she did pin her, by the way, just to confirm it. I'm looking at the ESPN article from April 7th, 2007. Pinned her in the U.S. National Wrestling Championships. Yeah.
I'm completely with you, Derek. I don't think there's much of an argument for Iris. Yeah, Christy Davis, way too many accolades to argue against.
Yeah, I got Christy too. I think just the culmination of her consistency, because if you look at their peak years, Iris has a world title and Christy has a world silver, so they're pretty similar. So then I think if you go to the body of work, Christy's if there was a Mount Rushmore of women's wrestling, she would be on it. So I think you can't argue with that.
I agree. I got Christy.
We got anyone left to vote?
If I wasn't clear, I'm going for Christy.
Okay. All right. So I think we got a Christy Davis, Adeline Gray final.
That is going to be good.
I know. So I'm super excited for that. So just to go over our finals matchups one more time before we hop off, we got Clarissa Chun and Patricia Miranda at 50 kg. 53, we have Helen Maroulis and Jakara Winchester. 57, Ali Reagan and Marcy Van Dusen. 62, Sarah McMahon and Randy Miller. 68, Forrest Molinari and Tamara Mentis-Stock. And 76, Adeline Gray versus Christy Davis Morano.
That's crazy.
That's fire.
If that was an actual tournament, you'd have people coming from everywhere to watch those matches.
I know.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today, especially Sam Herring. Obviously, you're busy doing Sam Herring things, riding in the car from here to there. But thanks for joining us, bud. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate having you on.
Thank you.
Awesome.
For sure. I had a blast. I'd love to do this again sometime. And I apologize for the bad setup here. Just traveling this weekend.
You're good.
All good.
No worries.
No worries at all. So, all right, Emma, anything else?
No, just stay tuned. We'll be posting the finals matchups and some stuff leading up to the finals next week. The brackets will be up. The final brackets will be up on Monday. Fan vote on Tuesday, and then the podcast on Friday with some special guests that we will talk about next week. So that's it.
All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Until next time, we are out.